Welcome to A Second Look. I'm Kevin Wilson, Ohio District President. This is my weekly devotion for our congregations based on the scripture passages from this past weekend. Our devotion for this week is entitled, Why Did Jesus Bring Division? It comes from the Gospel reading, Luke chapter 12. Jesus says, I came to cast fire on the earth, and would that it were already kindled. I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how great is my distress until it is accomplished. Do you think that I have come to give peace on earth? No, I tell you, but rather division. For from now on, in one house there will be 5 divided, 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. They will be divided, father against son and son against father, mother against daughter and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. This description from Jesus is so harsh, one might question whether it should really be in readings for worship services. I dare say, though, this conflict between family members is exactly why we need to have this teaching included. It's jarring to compare Jesus' teaching in other passages with this description. Matthew 5 alone, Jesus encourages us to make peace with one another, even calls upon us to love our enemies. And yet here in this passage, Jesus is uncomfortably clear that there will be conflict. It's going to happen. It can't be avoided. But why? Why must it happen? Well, it must happen because Jesus has a baptism which he must undergo. And that baptism was his crucifixion, his death, and his resurrection. Jesus had to go through that. He had to earn forgiveness of the sins of the world. And so he did. It is so ironic that Jesus, in his death and resurrection, has made peace between God and man. However, there's not always peace between us. And so, that's why we have this division. We're born in sin and we sin. That's human nature. Our nature rebels against God. And so we have families who are conflicted over Jesus, over whether he's the Messiah, over how to follow Jesus. There are a myriad of examples of these tensions that are experienced even today. While we acknowledge the pain that's felt in families, we also acknowledge that this passage is, in a way, hopeful. It is hopeful because Jesus died and rose for the forgiveness of the sins of the world, of all people, including those who are fighting against him or fighting against Christian family members. God's love is still demonstrated and known. It's God's desire that ultimately all will come to faith in Jesus, and then we will have that peace. And so we're hopeful because God will not give up on those he created, on his people. Until next week, the Lord bless and guide.